All right, welcome to our group call for 31st of August. It's already the 1st of September in Australia. So it is 1st of spring, which is pretty awesome. Nice and warm weather coming up, but cool today. So I've got a jumper on. But let's jump into it, guys. Hope you've all had a fantastic weekend. We've had some good results posted in our chats. So we'll look at that very quickly. Oh crap, I pressed the wrong button. That kind of happens sometimes. I pressed close instead of open. So let me just quickly get that back up again. Oh goodness gracious me, the joys. Okay, so one moment. I'll just make sure I'm bringing the right slide across over there. And yes, there we go. Okay, perfect. So last week performance. There's been some good results posted in there, some of my own results too. So this bottom screenshot here was basically a scalping trade that I took, just for a quick $2,000 using the signal charts. And, it really got me thinking about, how can I deliver more value regarding the signal charts to you guys so that you can use this incredible turnkey system and start taking advantage of, these market moves, of these incredible indicator positionings to give you absolute clarity to see where the price is likely to go next, where it has been, where the support and resistance levels are. So all of that is going to be covered very beautifully in this video. So please stick to the end because this is going to be a very informative video for you guys that you can use for the week ahead. Okay, so just a reminder too, we've got our subscription package. So we still got the same subscription package. It is only $399 for a 6-month subscription. So as I said before in the last week's call, we have so many companies out there selling a whole lot of crap, marketing heavily, individual products, this indicator suite for $300 and something, this strategy for $2,000. We don't mess around with things like that. We have an entire system of tools that is, delivered for a very, very incredible price, actually. Okay, so that is, what we still have available to new members. Let's have a look. Okay, so last week, so our game plan last week, I really struggled to maintain that last week. My time has been a bit of an issue, maintaining the game plan and also working with updates. So we've also decided to take a bit of a break from running the game plan for a few weeks. So I'm going to focus on the updates in the back end. And unfortunately, a lot of the updates that I've been working, I've had to deactivate while uploading new settings to the game plan strategy. So it's been a bit of a tug of war this week with me. So by not running the game plan, I can work on the updates in the back end, which includes self-optimization, which is a whole incredible new way of running the strategies, and which is going to be absolutely incredible. Okay, and also what we're going to cover on this call is a continuation really from last week, where we worked on a signal chart setup. So we looked at, creating a signal chart from scratch and adding the multi-data series. So this is what I'm really encouraging you guys to focus on over the next few weeks, because the wonderful thing about this is you can load up this chart and absolutely from the very instant you load it up, you've got a very good indication of, first of all, where the guaranteed price levels are. You can see the indicator signals position themselves, and you've got a very, very good chance and very good opportunity to enter positions and have a high degree of, or a high level of outcome from those. So we're going to really focus on that today and hopefully not have a long call, because I want to keep these as short as possible. Okay, so this is my VPS. So all DTB traders, all customers, or all people using the DTB system have, like, this is NinjaTrader closed. There's nothing open at the moment. We all have a script file. So the script file comes with the DTB system, which makes it an incredible turnkey system. So anybody that's watching right now, I encourage you just to close NinjaTrader if you haven't got your own strategies and stuff running. And then all you have to do is right click on your script file and go run as administrator and select your, where your NinjaTrader is installed. So on mine, it is on number 1. And, we have, like I said, everybody has access to the script file. The script file is extremely powerful because it puts every single thing inside NinjaTrader. It puts the DTB system inside NinjaTrader, and it puts all the templates, all the chart templates, all the workspaces. So it just puts every single thing in place from one point, which makes it absolutely incredible, because if you've got multiple different, vendors selling you tools and you're buying bits and pieces everywhere, messing around, you're not able to do a complete update with one shot. Whereas the DTB system, it's an all-inclusive system with all the strategies, all the indicators, all the workspaces. Everything is combined to work beautifully together, and it's updatable in one step. So selecting this template that we have, or the script that we have, we use number 4 on here. So not only is this going to make sure all the DTB templates are up to date, but it's also going to clear out all the junk inside NinjaTrader. And it's going to make sure that NinjaTrader is starting in a very high priority state where it's going to be nice and clean. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to just put my, my password in over here. So we log in, and it's always a good idea, remember to, before you exit NinjaTrader for the end of the trading day, is to just clear out all your workspaces, in the sense of like close them all before you actually restart your trading day. So you can see I've got no workspaces open. Now, if you go to your workspaces now, you will see that there's all the workspaces. So all the workspaces that you see that's got DTB TT00 at the end, they are part of the script. So these are the actual workspaces that are included with the DTB system and are constantly being updated. So I, 10 minutes ago, added a new workspace to the DTB system, which is, which you guys immediately will have access to because you run the script and it's automatically updated. So last week, we created a workspace called DTB Indicator Sample NQ. So if you haven't watched last week's video, I definitely encourage you to go watch that first, because that is a great lead into the video that we're having today. Okay, so what I've done is, I've renamed, or I've created a workspace called DTB Signal Chart Setup Multi-Series DTB TT00. So this is the one that every single one is going to have access to at the moment. So if you click on that, it's going to bring up the workspace that we created on last week's call. So immediately, bam, it's going to be there. Everything is going to be set up exactly how we set it up on last week's call. The indicators are all going to load. Everything that is designed to work together is going to be in place, and it's all right there, right now, ready to go. That's the cool thing about a turnkey system. Okay, so that is there now. So we've got MNQ on here. We've got the 2 charts, as you can see. So we've got our trending baseline chart with our deviations, and we've got our flat baseline chart. So there's our flat baseline with our, deviations. And currently we're on a baseline wick of 86 ticks away from the baseline. Okay, so what I wanted to cover, and I'm going to close my video just to get that out of the way. As you can see, it's there already for you guys to work with. Now, we did cover this quite extensively on last week's call, which, like I said, please go and watch it. But what we're going to do this week is we're going to add to this workspace. So all the work that I'm going to be doing on this workspace, I'm going to be saving it at the end. And you guys, when you run the script in 10 minutes after the call, you will have all of the stuff that we worked on immediately updated to your side. You're not going to have to, go manually recreate it. Although it is a very good idea to manually go and create your own charts as you're going through on this video, because, it's going to help you become a lot more familiar with the DTB system. And that is ultimately, you know, where you want to be at. You want to make sure that you are familiar with the system so that you can set up your own chart templates. You can set up your own, your workspaces. You can adjust the tools that you're working with and use them effectively. So like as an example right here, so this, as you can see, we've got breakout markers left behind. So this is a great opportunity right here to enter the price back to the baseline for a 25 tick or 30 tick profit target. So like this here is an immediate entry opportunity. You can see over here, the price is staying above this volume breakout marker. It's currently 70 odd ticks away from this baseline, but we can look at this one over here. And yeah, you can see it's 24 ticks away from the trending baseline. So I'm not going to take that trade right now because we're going to really focus on setting up these charts. But you're going to see that this price is very likely to go back to this baseline just because of where the Fibonacci level is, the volume breakout marker, and you can see there it's 9 ticks, 5 ticks, 3 ticks, 1 tick. It's back to the baseline. So there was a 30 tick move literally in front of our eyes, you know, immediately. So anybody who took that trade would already have a 30 tick profit target. So this is the beauty of being able to load up a chart and see almost immediately how, you know, you can take positions and have, profits hit on, quite quickly, actually. Sometimes it might take 10, 15 minutes before the price runs back to the baseline. It all depends what's happening. And that's why I didn't specifically want to take that trade on this call, because we didn't want to be sitting here watching a trade that could, float around for 10, 15 minutes. But, this is the type of signals that you can take with a very, very small stop, a decent target, and be able to take advantage of moves like this very quickly, without having to spend hours and hours in front of the charts. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus a little bit more on adding in a few more charts. So a good thing to start with is I'm going to right-click this flat baseline chart. Okay, so I'm going to right-click on this chart. I'm going to go duplicate a new tab. And I'm going to change this to a larger bar size. So first of all, we've got the 2020, which is our one data series, and we've got our 201. So over here, and this is great for the US session, is, you can stretch this to like a 400 tick baseline like this. Click on apply. And for the 2020, we can actually convert this to a 40 and a 40. So by doing that, we've got our flat baseline chart, which is a 400 tick chart, and we've got our inter bar size, which is a 40-40. So 10 of these bars equals one baseline. So we know that when the price goes up, so from here, as you can see, I'm going to just activate my crosshair. And sorry if I'm speaking very fast. I get like that when I know I've got a lot to cover, but I should actually be slowing it down, which is a good idea. So looking at our baseline, so like that's a flat baseline over there. Now, as you can see, the price was running the baseline for quite a while over there. As you can see from 1 p.m. last week, Friday, 1 p.m. to 1:20, just like floating around an area. And at 1:37, the price actually deviated from the baseline. And so all of this price movement over here is the price deviating from the baseline. It almost came back and retested it over there, and then ultimately broke up to a new baseline. So if we look at the beginning of our baseline, and we look to where the new baseline reaches, that'll be our 400 ticks. So all of this in between is the price action. And this is the beautiful thing about it, is we are able to see the price action on a wick. So instead of just watching a baseline chart, we're able to see the baseline, the guaranteed price levels, but then also we're able to see what the price action is within that wick. So, this is pretty awesome. And just very quickly, I see that if I look at my Discord chat over here, I see Mauricio actually applied this very same technique last week. And thanks for posting this, just posting it into your, into the chat over there. And I see also if I go into this and then I go into, there's your target being met. So exactly doing the same thing. You're using the baseline, you're using the arrows, you're using the volume breakout markers, you're targeting, you're buying and, targeting your, targeting the baseline. Beautiful. And how awesome is that? So that's, basically the exact same approach that we are using over here. And, these arrows from the shadow trading are absolutely phenomenal for divergences. This one over here was absolutely beautiful right here at the baseline, giving us an arrow to go up. Of course, we had, this was the end of the market. So, not really great to trade between, the last hour of the market open. But looking at today, we currently have, the price at 96 ticks away, 100 ticks away from that 400 tick baseline, which is why we've got these 2 bars over here. Okay, so I'm just going into the indicator list. Now you'll see over here, we've got our shadow trading, we've got our Fibonacci levels. Now all of these indicators that we use for signals are always going to be attached to the smaller data series. So if you scroll down to your input series, you'll see they're always attached to the smaller data series. Same with the breakout volume markers, and they attach to the smaller ones. So every single thing on this chart does not need to be adjusted for these indicators, because they're all customizable, or they all fit every single data size or bar size that we are using. So you can freely go and duplicate this. And a very good idea to also do is just go into the properties of each of the tabs. And over here, you can basically also adjust the name at the bottom, so you know which chart is which. So I'm just going to go show me the money, which is short for that. And I'm going to go 40_40. And we might even just go NQ. Oh, this is MNQ, right? MNQ. And we're going to go apply. So I'm going to just copy this and I'm going to go apply. And okay, so that updates this chart. So if you want to click on a tab, you know exactly what that tab is. So like this one over here, I'm going to go to the properties over here, and I'm also going to adjust this one. I'm going to paste that, and this is a 2020 chart. So I'm going to put there a 20 and a 20, and I might just put there trending as a thing. Okay. And this one over here, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go to the properties and overwrite this, and this is also a 20, and we're going to call this the flat baseline. Okay, now you can be a little bit more detailed there. You can put there the size of the second data series, but not necessary always. And like this one over here is a flat, so we might just edit this one and just put their flat at the end. So if I go to the properties, and I'm going to put there, don't click on that, whatever that was, and flat. So we know that is that. And cool thing too is we can also go and duplicate this tab in a new tab like this. And for this one, first of all, we're going to change the details, and I'm going to put there trending like this. And the data series over here, because we're making this a trending baseline, we're going to switch to the second data series over here, and we're going to make this a 1/400. apply, and okay. So we'll give that a minute to load. And here, what we're looking at now is we're looking at the price on a trending baseline. So we're looking at, as the price trends up, it's showing us the deviations from the wick. It's showing us the price movement. So like as an example, there was the trending baseline going down. That's the price action on that wick, and back to the trending baseline. So again, it's giving us those guaranteed price levels of, of that, and these arrows and stuff, everything appears in real time, as well as your breakout volume markers. So all of that is going to be showing up in real time as you are trading this. So that is example on the MNQ. Now, what we can also do, and you might want to create additional workspaces for this, but what you can do over here is you can say, well, you know what, we want to duplicate this in a new tab, but instead of working with the MNQ, let's work with the ES or MES. So let's just work with the MES. Okay, so we're looking at the MES now, and the first thing I'm going to do is just go and adjust the properties of this chart, because I'm going to put there MES. Okay, and now we've got a flat baseline chart on the MES. Now, generally, you're not going to use the same size chart as you would with the MNQ or NQ, as well as the ES, MES. So over here, we can actually go into our data series, and we can adjust this to a smaller chart. So immediately, I always go to at least half. So if I'm working with a 200 on a MNQ, I will switch it to 100 on the MES, because the MES is going to move literally at half the speed as the NQ is going to move. That's just how it is. Okay, so I'll make this a 10-10. So you can see how simple it is to make these adjustments to different charts, but it's still giving you absolutely incredible ways of seeing the price in play. Okay, so like there is a 10-10 on a 100. So if I go to my indicator list, again, the beauty of these specific indicators is we do not have to go and adjust any of these values, because they can adjust themselves to suit every single bar size that you create on here. Okay, now we'll switch back to this one over here. And like he has another perfect example, a good example of, there's the price 63 ticks away from the baseline. We've got a breakout volume marker left behind. That is currently just reset. So we've got to be very careful when breakout markers reset like that, which means that is no longer the point of, the volume being pressed down to bring this price down. So we're currently at a 61% over here. We are 62, 63 ticks. If this volume breakout marker gets left behind and the price goes up, we do not want to take this back down to the baseline. Okay, so then this could be a case of trading the trending baseline going up. So another beautiful example of the price coming and retesting these volume breakout markers. There's a gold marker left behind at the moment. So if we were going to take a trade over here, we would have our stop a lot closer, because we can use our Fibonacci level over here, and we can also just use our price movement around the the breakout volume marker. So as an example over here, we can chase a target to the baseline. So there we've got a 60 tick target with a 45 tick stop. So like these are the types of positions that you can be taking. Obviously there it's shot down extremely quickly. And these are the type of positions that you can be taking. And if you see that it is breaking through and it's starting to really climb down and you've got divergences, then you can also exit a trade. So you don't always have to wait for it to go and hit your stop. So we'll just let that one run. If I go to the flat baseline chart, There is, it's doing that. So there's our trending. If I look at our flat baseline chart, the price is 45, 46 ticks away. We do have a gold bar at the moment. So, in this case, I'm like, well, this is not looking the absolute greatest. So I'm actually going to just close that position. Because, I was expecting that to go up a little bit because of, the volume breakout marker left behind, but it just kind of a shot down. So rather than let it hit its stop, we just decide we can jump out. No harm in that. We wait for the next signal. So you can very quickly see if a trade is going to work out or not. And often what I like to do is if the trade is not immediately showing that it's going to go in the right direction, I could jump out pretty quickly on those positions too. Okay, so that was like a small example there, in and out. Unfortunately, this one hit. I jumped out of it because I was literally, I'm seeing gold bars over here. Now, I don't normally like to jump immediately into an opposing trade. That's not my type of style of trading. I always like to act on the initial signal that I look at and look for the reasons why I entered. And it's only when I see a breakout volume marker being left behind or something else telling me that this price is very likely to go to a specific point will I enter that position. So right now, the price is very close to this baseline, okay, very close. But when it closes below this bar, it's had a bit of resistance there before. So we'll be chasing a very small target for a fairly large stop. So not really worth it to go for small moves like that. But this is something that you're gonna get the feel for when you are trading this live, because you're going to be able to see exactly where these markers are. You're going to be able to see how the bar formation looks and, be able to act on those, with a little bit of, watching the charts and seeing what is happening on them. Okay, so that was that. So we covered the larger chart over there. We covered the trending. We covered the MES. So MES2, we can immediately see where the baselines are by the amount of ticks that the price is showing from the baseline. So like at the moment, the price is only 6 ticks away from this baseline. Very, very small, deviations at the moment. So we can watch out for that. Now, that was the flat. So what we can also do over here is we can duplicate this in a new tab, and we can make this a trending baseline. So going into the data series, we can make this a 1 and 100. Apply, okay, and I'm going to go into the properties, and I'm going to change this to a trending. Apply and okay. So now we know that this is a trending baseline, and it's also still giving us the details of the price within that wick. Now, I did want to bring something else up. Now, some of you guys are still, well, not too much of the DTB traders, but some of you guys who are maybe looking at this for the first time and you are thinking, well, I'm used to using minute bars. How would that look if I was using minute bars with this? So, well, let's have a go and have a adjust at that. So let's go and use the flat baseline approach, because that's pretty awesome. I just want to take away no, that's fine. I'm going to just duplicate this in a new tab again. And I'm going to adjust the data series. So if you go to the data series and you go to the smaller data series, over here, you can switch this to like a minute bar. So we're going to just use the 5 minute. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry is trading the 5 minute bars. There's a lot of, hype about that. And so what this is going to do is it's going to give you the guaranteed price levels, but it's also going to give you what the 5 minute bar is doing between those price levels. So as an example, you'll see over here, there's the baseline with the guaranteed price levels. This is the price of the 5 minute bar while the price is on a wick. So you're getting the incredible accuracy of the guaranteed price levels, but then you are having other bar series in between that is showing you in time this time, which time is not really significant in the market, but it's still giving you what that time frame is doing, and if the price is returning to the baseline or not. So this just shows you the importance of having the guaranteed price levels, because it takes your trading to a completely different level, because you are looking at, first of all, the guaranteed price levels, and then you are seeing what the price is doing but on the wick between the price running the baseline. Now, as you can see, these minute bars have got all different size wicks, all different size candles. It's not really ideal to view for price action. I mean, it's very, very hard to see what price action is on a wick when you're using time-based bars. It is much, much clearer using exact value tick bars, because these are guaranteed price levels. It's guaranteed tick values. So you can see exactly to the T what is happening with each of the bars on that wick, whereas a 5-minute bar could just be going up and down, up and down. You're not actually seeing any price action whatsoever, because you're just seeing one candle, or you're just seeing a few candles, put together, but you don't actually have that clear, concise view of price, because you don't have, these guaranteed price levels or guaranteed price movements that are showing you genuine price action. So the only thing that this is showing you is like a time-based thing, okay? And it could span any period of time. Each bar is going to be, like 5 minutes in this example, but ultimately, you can trade the price. You got an option to trade the price back to a current baseline or to a previous baseline. All of this is, crystal clear. Sometimes it's going to give you the direct up and down, like, for example, here's the baseline, there's the price. As you can see, it's just all over the place, very unclear. And that's what happens with time-based bars. Whereas when you're switching this to your DTB bars, you've got a lot more clarity with price. So, definitely, if you've worked with 5-minute bars before, you'll find this a much more welcomed approach, because the incredible benefit of trading the DTB bars and the DTB system is you don't have to go and study candlestick analysis. You don't have to go read 20 books on every single different formation of candles and all that noise. You don't need to know a single bit of that, because at the end of the day, it's actually irrelevant. The price is either going to return to a baseline or form a new baseline. You've got a lot of tools over here that's showing you the guaranteed price level of the market, and it's showing you very clear indication where the divergence are, where the support resistances are, without having to fill up your mind with all the crap associated with candlestick analysis. Now, some people love it, obviously. There's people that go and study it for years and years and spend a crazy amount of time trying to study candlestick analysis. But this world is so busy, life is so busy, most people don't have the time to go spend hours and hours and hours studying candlestick analysis. And at the end of the day, we want to try and make it as simple as possible. So like this approach over here, where we are looking at we're looking at the guaranteed price levels, we're looking at just the simple price movement. There's not a single need to understand anything whatsoever about what candles are doing what. So like there's an example over there of a trade. Now I'm taking this one over here just to end off the call, but there's an example of a position where I'm taking, at below 2 volume breakout markers, below a 61.8 Fibonacci level. And we can just place a small little stop on this. So like this type of thing, we're chasing like a 46 stop with a 40 targets, 35 targets. So again, it's almost like a 50-50 type of trade, very small type of risk reward type of thing over here. We're not trying to, be greedy with anything. And we're just chasing a very small movement in price back to a guaranteed price level, which is our baseline over there. Now, this is a trade I said I wouldn't take earlier, but, I'm just going to jump into this one over here because, it's just nice and clear. And it's a very small trade. It's MNQ. We're just chasing a very small little movement in price. We've seen the price with divergences over here. We've got, a buy, sell, tug of war here between the buyers and the sellers. And we're just chasing a very, very small little price movement. Now, obviously, if the price bounces up again after this bar closed, then we can exit it because it looks like it's just going to be another area of failure over here, basically. We can watch that for a moment. The other thing I wanted to also cover is, we currently have the shadow trading determining the price action. So I'm going to duplicate this in one tab. I'm going to just bring this right next to this one over here. Okay. And I'm going to close off that 5 minutes just because I'm not interested in looking at that one. We're going to look back over here at this second one. Now, one of the things we can also do, and this is where you start looking to more of the indicators that come up with the DTB system, and here we can say we've got the shadow trading. That's an incredible tool to use, but let's also add in our SI brick wall indicator, because this indicator is going to give us a very clear price action too of where the huge support and resistance areas are in the market. So we're going to add a 2 in there, and I'm going to add another one there, and I'm going to make this just a 250. I'm going to apply those, and what those are going to do is they're going to put in additional little values inside the in the market. And they're also going to be, they set to on bar close, but they're not painting the bars. So none of these indicators are painting the bars except for the shadow trading at this stage. So looking at this, the SI indicator, we've got that over there. Now, if we go and check the settings of this, you'll see that the paint bars have been disabled, and we can add that. So what these are going to do, these are going to show us many support and resistance areas on price, and they're also attached to the smaller data series. So as an example, if you were watching this chart over here, you're watching this, you're looking at this type of thing over here, divergences. You thought, well, I'm going to just trade this price back to the baseline. The price almost touched the baseline, broke above. Then you thought, I'm going to trade this one over here back towards the baseline. But hey, here is the support for that price, or the resistance for this price to come back down again. So we want to make sure that we don't trade into those areas of support and resistance, because that's going to hold up the price very, very likely, to stop it from going down. And then that could be a good indication of, we can trade this price back up to the baseline, because we've got this area here now that is our ultimate support, that is, going to give us an area where we can put our stops, which will be below that, trading the price up to the next baseline. And very quickly on this too, if you do want to have a little bit of a mix up of, what is painting the bars, you can go to your shadow trading and you can say, we want to, we don't want the shadow trading itself to be painting the bars. So we can switch over to our shadow trading paint bars. I'm trying to find that there. So paint bars over there. And then we can switch over to our brick wall SI indicator, and we can have this one paint the bars. So now you will see that the bars are going to paint green and red only. There's only two colors now. They're going to be painting green and red. So again, giving you a very good indication of where the support and resistance areas are. When the prices are red, you know it's below the breakout, or it's below those those values on that specific indicator. And because we went and adjusted this, we can go to the properties of this one, and we can make this SI. So I'm going to see if we can, are we able to put brackets? Oh, we are. Okay, cool. So like that there will be, MNQ, show me the money, but we're using the SI as our main coloring of our tools. So now you've got a chart that's showing you the shadow trading, which is showing you the coloring of the bars. But now you've also got an option where you're looking at only where the brick walls are showing you the colors. So as you can see, the price is currently, these are the previous brick walls that are over here. They're very far away from price, but this is currently, these are all showing at the price is above those values. So looking at this, and again, like I said, if the price comes and touches over here and breaks up, we probably want to exit this. So that's what I would be doing over here if the price actually came up a little bit higher. So we can definitely minimize our stops on charts like this because we have a lot of tools giving us information on what the price is doing. So like as an example, here's the slightly larger trending baseline, and we literally have a tug of war over here between the buyers and the sellers, right between these volume breakout markers. You can see there the price came back down again. This is now likely proving as support. So we can say, do we want to risk this trade over here? Obviously, if you're trading on the larger contracts, you want to make sure that you're not taking too much risk on your positions, but you can switch between a few of these charts, and especially during the quieter sessions that we are looking at now, and you could say, where would be a good idea for a stop. So looking at this chart over here, I would say if the price comes and touches over here, which is a break above this area over here, then I would exit, which is fair. And you know what? We're chasing a baseline break on the flat baseline chart. So we always got to look at our positions and think, are we making informed decisions, or we just like gambling? So that's why it's a great idea to look at a few of your different charts and make sure that your stops and your targets are placed at sensible locations that that definitely makes sense. So that you're not thinking, I'm just winging it here, I'm gambling. There we had a volume breakout marker left behind on our larger chart, but generally we're only going to be looking at this much larger chart during the US session, during the busier period of time. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this. And you might create a workspace specifically set up for the US session when it's busier. And in that way, you can set up, the 40-40, and you can have all of these larger charts and not have any of the smaller charts in play. So, and then obviously increase this one to a 200 and a 20-20 because it's more suited to the US session. But I really think that what we've set up over here is going to give you guys a very, very clear and beautiful picture of price, and be able to allow you to enter some manual trading with a very, very clear indication of where price is likely to go next. You're chasing decent stops and targets. You're not overextending yourselves, and you can make some really good trades. Good. So that is what I wanted to cover on this call. Now, from next week, I'm not going to be able to run a live call. I'm actually going to be away for the next 2 weeks, away from my my main computer. So I'm not going to be doing any trading over or any game plan, like I said, over the next 2 weeks. I'm working on the back end. I'm traveling with my laptop. I'm, doing some major, back end work. So I'm going to be recording the results calls, and then streaming them or releasing them as and when they become ready. So watch out for them. Like I said, no call next week this time, and the following week either. So we're might just be reshuffling a bit how these calls are actually going to be working, and we're going to go from there. Cool. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for jumping on the call. I hope I'm going to save this workspace that I've just created now. So in the next few minutes, you'll be able to, close NinjaTrader, run the script, and exactly what we have set up here, all of these charts will be there to load up instantaneously. But it is very, very good to go and work with a few different tools yourself, work with a few different indicator combinations, but try have the two data series on one chart. So use what we have over here, and first try work with it and enter some positions and just see how you can position your stops and targets. And then, as you've mastered that, you can start working with a few additional indicators, maybe adjusting a few, removing some, adding others. There's quite a few that are extremely, extremely powerful with determining momentum of price too. And a very, very, very quick one that I'm going to pop on here is our volume analysis. So here's all the indicators that we have. And for instantaneous understanding of volume, we can see, okay, well, what is happening behind the scenes on different data series with the price. And like this one is absolutely fantastic in that regard, because it's telling you when it's all green over here, that the buyers are in control. So if you were in a short position, you would jump out of that. It's only when you see significant red would you jump into a short, and then when you see significant green, you can jump into a long position. So all of these are updating in real time on the chart over here. And like this tool specifically is an absolutely fantastic tool to have, because you can quickly jump out of positions where the price is going against you. So that's one of the ones I'm going to leave on. And in fact, I'm going to leave this indicator on this chart. I'm going to save this workspace. Okay, so I'm going to just jump to the first chart like this. I'm going to go workspace and I'm going to go save. So in the next 5 minutes, you guys will be able to run the script, and this will be saved exactly as you're seeing it over here, so that you can flick between these tabs and you can start, looking at incredible opportunities to enter the market. One thing I will do though is I will go into the data series very quickly, and I'm going to just disable the plotting, because that actually, becomes a little bit of a pain in the ass when you are looking at the text and the markers. So I'm just going to go do not plot, or I might just go markers only. That's actually good. I'm going to add markers only to the flat or trending baseline. And in that way, it can be nice and clear for you guys. So I'll do that, save this workspace, and you guys will have access to it in a few minutes. Hey guys, thank you very much. Have a fantastic week ahead. Run some templates if you can. Bruce and Christopher are sharing templates on the baseline wick trader. Feel free to run those also for the automated side. But I really want you guys to become traders and focus on your manual trading, because you can only be a trader if you're doing manual trading. The automated should always be a bonus on the side when you're not able to sit at the computer. But everybody should be able to sit in the computer for an hour and enter positions and be very consistent using that. Thanks guys, have a good one, and chat soon. Cheers.